This is Now Is Non-negotiable, your 10-minute reset to guard your thoughts, grow your faith, and win the war between you and your mind. Get ready as we dive right in. I am so glad you're here. Welcome back to the Now Is Non-negotiable podcast. My name is Katie Mares, and I am so excited to have you here. This episode is all about the wait. So many of us are not living because we're waiting for the next thing. We're waiting for the money to come so you can buy the thing you want. You're waiting for the thing to happen so you could be happy. You're waiting for the next mountain, the next peak to arrive so you can live in joy. Unfortunately, what happens is when you do that, when you wait and wait and wait, you stop living. If you are in a season right now where waiting is happening, this episode is for you. If you feel like you're stuck in the same place, praying the same dang prayer and wondering if anything is going to shift, this episode is for you. If you're exhausted from holding it all together, second guessing if whether or not you're on the right path, this episode is for you. There's such a negative connotation around waiting. We get anxiety, we get overwhelmed. We think, when am I going to achieve this? When will I be happy? When will I be financially free? And when I get all these things, then I can start living life. But thinking that way, it takes life away from us, and that is not what God wants for us. He wants us to refine ourselves. He wants us to continue to live while we struggle and while we wait, because that's where the version of us that He intended us to be comes to life. We don't talk enough about waiting. We talk about the victory, the breakthrough, the redemption, but what about the in-between? I have talked about the fact that I was pruned down to nothing. I have talked about the fact that I have had to rebuild myself up from zero, nada, scratch. I haven't talked enough about the wait in between it all. I've talked about the highs, I've talked about my accomplishments, but the reality is, in the wait is how I got to those peaks, and it's how you get to those peaks. What about the space between the prayer and the promise? Between the pruning and the victory? That's where most of us are living. And that's where you might be today. I'm still there. Although I've had some incredible successes and I've had some incredible challenges, I'm still waiting. I'm still waiting for my prayers to become a reality. And I just want to say this as clearly as I can. The waiting is not a waste of time. Now, I want to tell you a little bit of my story, not to spotlight me, but so you can hear your own reflection in it. I didn't get delivered until I turned 40 years old. 40. And I'm pretty sure I have mentioned this in past podcasts, but I have spent 40 years in the wilderness. Here's the thing, that number, it matters. It matters biblically. Because 40 is the number of testing, of refinement, of preparation. The Israelites wandered in the wilderness for 40 years. Jesus fasted for 40 days. And I spent 40 years wondering when I'd finally be free. Free from worry, free from anxiety, free from pain, free from lack of self-worth, free from lack of love, free to live the life that I wanted to live, that I knew I was destined to live. 40 years of surviving, of floating, of getting into relationships that mirrored pain more than love itself, 40 years of thinking trauma was my truth. And yet God, He was there working while I was waiting. Even before I even knew He existed and I fully trusted Him, He was there. See, that's the thing. God is working while you wait, even if you can't see it. I did not see what He was doing, but I can connect the dots backwards and I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt that every moment waited, every year that passed, every hardship that I had to get through was a step numbered by our Heavenly Father. Because I am here sharing this testimony with you. I'm still in the wait, and you might be too. But I promise you that wait, it isn't a waste of time. But maybe that's where you are right now. Maybe you're still in it. Maybe you're not sure if you're hearing God clearly or at all. Maybe you've dropped to your knees more than once and whispered, I'm yours. But the weight didn't lift. As I mentioned, for a long time, I lived in survival. I was in an abusive relationship that literally took everything from me, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. There was gaslighting, there was psychological manipulation, there was control, there was mocking, there was isolation, there was physical abuse, and there was so much fear. I tried to leave more than once, but I always went back. Not because I didn't want to be free, but because I was afraid. Because when you've lived in trauma long enough, it starts to feel like you're home. I prayed during that time, but I didn't pray for freedom. I prayed to be strong enough to handle it. That's how deep the damage went. I thought the pain was mine to carry. And then one night, everything shifted. I walked into my bathroom numb. My body still had expectations, habits built from trauma. But my soul said absolutely no more. And I dropped to my knees. And all I could whisper was, God, I'm yours. That was the moment of surrender. Not the moment everything got better. Heck no, but it was the moment I stopped fighting the fight alone. It was the moment I stopped waiting alone. And when God finally delivered me, He didn't just deliver me, He made sure I was safe. He made sure I was at home. Yes, the cruelty still came through texts and phone calls, but I was surrounded by family. I was no longer in danger, and I was no longer alone. And that's when the healing began. That's when I stepped into the wilderness, not as a victim, but as someone God was preparing to become whole. And if you've walked through something similar, I want you to know your pain does not disqualify you. God sees your pain. He hears your tears. And He is waiting for you to seek Him, to open up your heart, and to find the hope and the faith that you know that He is right next to you, waiting to wait it out for you, waiting to guide you, waiting to comfort you, so that you can live through the magic of the mess and live through the mess of the miracle that is yours to have. He sits with you in it. If you're still waiting and still wondering and still trying to figure out how the heck this life is going to work out, let me say something to you that I wish someone had said to me. God is not punishing you by making you wait. I want to stop there for a second, because I used to believe that I was being punished. I would cry to God and say, why me? I'm a good human. I do good for others. Why am I going through this? Why can't I get out of it? And as I've rebuilt myself and I'm waiting for the next client or the next paycheck in order to keep a roof over my head and food on the table, I have also felt that maybe God was punishing me. But the reality is He's not. He's not punishing you by making you wait. He's preparing you. He's forming you freeing you from the lies you've believed about yourself and showing you who you really are. I used to believe I was unworthy of pure love. I used to believe that sex was my worth. I used to believe that I deserved every lashing, every single manipulation, gaslit comment, or mocking. I believed that I wasn't a daughter of God because how could God do this to somebody he loves? But the reality is he loves me so much. He never left my side. He waited with me, but he knew he was refining me. He knew that I had it in me to become so much more than I believed I had in myself. He met me in my mess, and he will meet you in yours. Whether it's a broken relationship, if you're struggling with addiction, if you aren't getting good grades in school, or you want that promotion and you keep getting knocked down, he will meet you there. He wants you to seek him with all your heart, and when you do so, he will reveal himself to you. I've learned something so sacred in this season of my life, in this waiting season, and I want to pass it on to you. The miracle isn't after the mess. The miracle is the mess. The waiting season you're in, the tug in your chest, the desire that hasn't happened yet, it's not evidence that God has forgotten about you. It is evidence that he is working in you, building your capacity, teaching you trust, not punishing you, preparing you. You may feel like you need more tools, more time, more clarity. You may make up all the excuses in the world to make yourself feel better or self-soothe during the waiting period. But I have to challenge you with this. What if you already have what you need? What if you stopped looking outside yourself and started pointing your eyes towards God and inward and looked at the most beautiful, divinely appointed human that he has created? I was coaching a woman not too long ago. She was in that space we all know too well. She's stuck, she's waiting, feeling like she cannot figure it out, and she just wants to move forward. She kept saying to me, I think I just need more tools, more information, maybe another course or another method. I need something to help me get from one mountain through the valley to the other peak. And I could clearly see she wasn't missing a tool at all. She is one of the most educated humans I know. She was missing trust. I actually just got off a call with her today, one of her coaching sessions. And I looked at her and I said, you don't trust. You walk in fear and you straddle faith because you know you should, but you don't trust God and you don't trust yourself. So I looked at her that day as well as I did today, and I said, even if you just have a little, you have enough. You already have what you need to take the next step. God has equipped us with what we need for every season of our life, if we so choose to trust him and stop straddling the line of fear and faith and say, yes, I surrender. I know you're with me. I know you're waiting for me, and I know you're preparing me. I know you've given me the tools, Heavenly Father, to walk this path. When I said this to her, she just kind of sat there for a second, quiet. And I gave her her time. And then she looked at me and she said, you know what? I remember a few months ago, you offered me a Bible, and I didn't take you up on it. But lately, the more I hear you speak, the more I know I need to be in his word. And that just made my heart crack wide open and smile, because that's it. We don't always need more. Sometimes we just need to return home to Him, to open the Word, to sit with God, and to stop searching everywhere else when He's already right here, and when you already have the tools you need to live the life you want and to accomplish the things you dream about. Unfortunately, it doesn't happen as fast as you want it to. And we sit there waiting. And we stop living while we're waiting. What if that wait was where we should be? And where you're refined and you start walking in faith? What if we became grateful for what we have right now? The tools we've been given, the circumstances we've been placed in. What if we shifted our mindset from it happens to me to it happens for me? And maybe that's for you today. Maybe this is something you needed to hear today. You might feel like you don't have enough. You might feel like you're missing something. But even if it feels small, I want you to hear this. Even if you feel like you have the smallest amount to give, even if it's just as small as a mustard seed, you have enough to walk forward in faith. I was at church a couple weeks ago, and the pastor brings out a jar of thousands of mustard seeds, and they're these itty bitty seeds. And then he shows us on the screen how big these mustard trees get. They're like one of the largest trees in the world from the smallest little seed. And his word tells us you only need to have faith as small as a mustard seed. If you have even just a little, you have enough to walk forward in faith. Your shift doesn't start with a solution. It starts with a surrender. It starts with okay, I am here, like the day I dropped to my knees. That is one of the best moments in my entire life, where I planted a mustard seed and I started to wait and be refined. Although I've been refined for the last 40 years, this is different, because I started living and thanking God and glorifying God for being refined in these moments. You have what you need to start. You have what you need to move. You have what you need to pray. You have what you need to praise. Even if your praise is your tears, you've got it. You are not in the wrong place. You are in a sacred place. So do me a favor, wherever you are right now, breathe. Inhale. And let it all out. Don't hold your breath waiting for your next breakthrough, waiting for the money to come in to smile and have joy, waiting for the storm to be over. Another example is coaching a group of women just today, just this morning. And she's going through a tornado. She didn't want to talk about what the tornado was, but she was laughing and smiling. And she said, you know what? I'm living through the tornado. And that just cracked my heart wide open again, because she's praising the wait and living through it. So don't hold your breath waiting for that breakthrough. Do yourself a favor and breathe. Celebrate what is right now, not what you're waiting to have happen, not just what's coming. God calls us to celebrate before the walls fall. He invites us to praise while we are still walking in circles, because that praise, it's a weapon, it's a declaration, it's trust in motion. So wherever you are today, whether you are waiting on healing, on direction, on restoration, if you're waiting on peace, if you're waiting to feel better, see the good, laugh again, Don't wait in fear, wait in faith. Even if you feel small, even if you feel unsure, even if you're still crawling your way forward, you are not alone. I want to spend the rest of my life thanking God, not just for the victories, but for the wilderness. I look back and I connect those dots backwards in my 40 years through the wilderness, and I can see His numbered steps. I want to thank God for the moments when everything was stripped away and He held my hand as I rebuilt, as I waded through the ocean, trusting that He had got me. I still have moments of fear, y'all. I still get distracted. I still fall short. I am not perfect, but I know now that I am never alone in it, and neither are you. Please remember, you are not waiting. You are becoming. And I pray you celebrate every single step you take, because this is sacred ground. This path you are walking is sacred. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really, truly hope and pray that your waiting season becomes a living season, and you allow God to work through you so you can live the life you were meant to live, and you can become the human He meant you to become. Until next time, please breathe deep, laugh a ton, trust big, and remember, God is already in the middle of your miracle.